Hey guys, gonna do a video here on what kind of stuff I have in my kayak case, I guess for storage. So here I got all the stuff I need. I got my paddles and I put a little clip here on the lid, little clips here. And so when I'm moving the box, it doesn't get in my way having all these things kind of jiggling around. They stay nice and firm so they're not jiggling inside of in the car when you're driving. One for my fishing rod. So that keeps it nice and tight, nice and easy. I got a car mat here. This actually does protect my legs when I'm in the kayak for a long time. And it also sort of acts as like a spray skirt almost, where any water or if you bring a fish in, it's not going to make your legs all sort of slimy and that type of stuff. And it also works just as like a nice barrier for your feet. So if you have any rocks sort of in your shoe and they're kind of grinding down on your plastic of your kayak, this will protect it. So it's nice and easy. I also use it, you just place it on top of the dock, and then when you slide your kayak down into the water, this protects the kayak from the dock. If there's any sort of abrasive parts. I just got this free from the auto wrecker. It works really, really well. Got my net, it's foldable. So you can go ahead and pop it into place. It's good to go. I have a rod leash here sort of just attached to it. This here is just a keychain from the thrift store. I think I paid 10 cents for it. This net here is a Lucky Strike net. It's rubber, so it's actually really, really great for the fish. The gills won't get all stuck in it. The fins won't get all stuck. It works super, super good, and it's really, really durable. So, and it's also extendable too. So if you feel like you needed it to be a little bit bigger, just go ahead and you can loosen it up and extend it quite long, you can see. So I highly suggest this net over other nets, just because things just don't get tangled. So there's that one there. It costed me it was on sale at Canadian Tire for about $30. Definitely a good price. And moving on, I just use a mat here. So when I put my kayak up onto my car, it actually, I need to slide it on my car a little bit if I'm setting it up myself. And so I have a mat just to cover my car. It's got a little bit of a rubber bottom so it sticks to the car, and then a nice soft base for your kayak to slide on. And I just kind of keep that with me, roll it up, so it's nice and handy. Next, I just got all of my tie downs and straps and stuff that I need for the car. Here I put some electrical tape just so that the carabiners don't grab the nylon strap and wreck it. I'll probably make another video on how I use the different T-straps and hood straps, because my car doesn't have any good anchor points. So I got those. I got all different sort of ratchet straps and so pretty self-explanatory. I've got a 5.5 pound anchor. This one is by Fox 40. It has a carabiner and a buoy attached to it. I'd highly suggest this one. And just like in my other video, I marked down 1 foot marks on it so that I know how far down I'm putting the anchor when I'm kayaking. So I have 2 of them because I actually lost one at the bottom of the lake by accident. I had all prongs of it open, and it actually decided to get completely caught, and I couldn't get it up for the life of me. So this I just use as a tow rope. This is what's left of the one I used to have. These ones I bought at Canadian Tire. It was $30 plus tax. So not too expensive, but you don't want to be losing it too often. That's for sure. But on any windy days, you're going to need an anchor. So of course I got a dry bag. I just bought this at Dollarama. I think it was $2. Works really well. It floats really well. I just keep stuff that I might need. Like I have some nitro worm, just a box, because I do put some bait in there, and it fits in my Ascend FS10 kayak really well. I got just a bag, so when I fillet my fish, of course, I'll have a nice clean zippable bag for to put them in. I got a chum bag. Now this here, you can use different ways to keep the fish when you catch them. There's different ways, you know, such as putting it through a fish stringer. I find that that's really pretty good, but when you're putting it through the gills and then it's kind of yanking on their gills and it's hard for them to breathe while they're still alive, or when you're bleeding them out on your kayak, I just feel like this is a little bit of a better way where you can put them inside this big bag and just go ahead and close it tight and clip it to your kayak, and it stays kind of floating on the side of your kayak in the water, so it keeps the fish at a good temperature. And this net here was $15 on Amazon, and it is rot resistant, and it doesn't start stinking. Like, it doesn't create a whole bunch of mold or anything like that. So I think that's super important. You could always get like just a normal soccer ball bag kind of thing, but it'll probably start to smell after a while, so keep that in mind. And of course, just some water, your fishing license kind of thing. I like to keep those nice and dry and in my bag so that I don't have to worry about them. So, of course, the next thing, I've got a homemade fish fillet board. So I've actually took some old carpenter brackets and for framing, and I screwed them to the board, kind of flattened the sharpened edges. And when you put a fish on here, it's not going nowhere. And I know that I had a lot of trouble with some slipperier surfaces, and the fish were just jumping up all over the place. And this one, it's nice. I can use it as a club if I needed to. I can use it as a nice fish fillet board. I can hang it up. I can also tie it to my kayak through that little eye hole here thing I made. And I put rubber stoppers on the bottom so that it stays nice and it has more friction on the surfaces that I'm using it on. I also have a 5-gallon pail that's about this surface here, like this. I put it on the pail and it won't move at all. So I can use the pail as a surface as well if I don't have a good fish shack. So that's kind of a homemade one. It was a little bit larger. It was a nice rounded fish, and I kind of just made it sort of a little bit smaller, and so that it was not so rounded here. But that's just more preference for me. I bought this live well, or I guess it's some sort of airtight, leak-proof, the Gamma Seal lid. I don't know. I bought it at a thrift store for $1, and you can see it holds quite a bit. I had about 3 or 4 fish in here at once, but it does get really very heavy actually. So there's a nice strap, and of course it collapses down. You go ahead and you can tighten it. This fits really well in the back of my my kayak in the 5-gallon pail spot right here. So one thing I want you guys to know though is that when you put water in this thing, boy does it ever weigh down your kayak. This thing is heavy, and it's really hard to move from the back of your kayak to your seat to put another fish in. So this is kind of something I like to, I like to put my fish in when I'm at the dock, taking them out of my chum bag. I'll fill the lake water with this, and I'll put my fish into it, and then I'll bring it to the fishing shack to fillet, or if I'm kind of keeping it for maybe an hour or something like that, then I'll have at least the fish in some water while I'm waiting. So that's kind of what I use that for, instead of a 5-gallon pail, because it's very easy to just fold up. Right, so it's nice and easy. I think I got pretty lucky with that one. Then I got the tackle box, of course. This one here, it's a 3-tier one. I bought this on just Kijiji, kind of just online there from someone for 10 bucks. I keep a knife sharpener, it's a emergency whistle, a hook sharpener, and a flint starter. And I kind of just use that for a bunch of stuff. I got a knife. I got a lighter, you know, when I'm camping, want to start some fires. And just different sort of things for some walleye fishing. Got a little bit of 3/8 of an ounce jig with that are collarless. I bought those 100 of them for $15 from someone. Just some chum worms here. Of course, my gloves, fishing gloves. I got my fillet knife. I bought this for 10 bucks just at some sort of surplus store. Works really well. It has a nice clip too. And I like that it has drainage points here at the end. So if it does get wet, it'll dry. Wet inside of the collar part here, it'll dry pretty quick. And then I just got some stuff here for bobbers. Just to kind of keep it all nice and tight in the same place. If you guys are into using bobbers. I got just a tape measure and a hook keeper. So pretty simple. I think it's pretty, most people have this kind of stuff in their tackle box, and some steel leaders. I feel like that's a must-have for any walleye or jack fishing. And yeah, so that's what I have in the tackle box. And the great thing with this is that when you put it on the back of your kayak, it's fairly easy to open, and just you can go ahead, grab it over here, and you can kind of bring it up like that, reach in, whatever, and put it back down, no problem. Pretty standard tackle box, not too heavy, not too big. And last but not least, just a few homemade things. So I made a rod holder that goes on my my tracking system of the Ascend FS10. It's really hard to find accessories. Today I made one that just has a nut and a bolt here. And here, let me bring it a little closer. Has a nut and a bolt, and this little part here fits in the track. And I go ahead, put it through the track on both sides, and then tighten the wing nut, and then put my fishing rod holder in here, or fishing rod in here, and I can go ahead and use that instead, since I don't have anything else. But this here I just found at a thrift store. It was 50 cents. I'm not really sure what it went to, but you can see I just cut it here and made a slot. And this little piece I just found, it's actually scrap metal in a back lane. I kind of got an idea to use it. And this here is from a sink, actually. So it's just one of those spinning sort of ball mounts. So that works fairly well. It's a little bit flimsy, so it's not as good as the Scotty brand that you can get, but I couldn't find any for the rack that I had. So I went ahead and tried building something like this, and it works fairly well. Next, I got another one, but I just made it for, like, if I had a fish stringer, I just put the fish stringer through here and kind of slide it on through the track, and it keeps my fish from going anywhere. You can also mount some other stuff to this, but I haven't really used this quite yet. It was just spur of the moment. Just cleaning your fish board, cleaning any surfaces. I always bring a brush with me. There's $1 for that. Just another rod leash, extra one. And the rest here, I did make a trolley system for my kayak. I don't use it very often because I feel like it's just a bunch of string that I probably won't use. Everything's kind of really well placed on the kayak. I didn't have to worry too much about having to move things to the front or the back of the kayak because it's sort of in the way. Nothing's really in the way too much, but what I did basically was put an anchor. Like I bought these. I actually bought there was 2 that came with a shoulder exercise thing, and one of those ones that hook onto the door, and it's supposed to be for rehab for the shoulder. But I just went ahead and broke it apart, and I basically have 4 of these pulleys, and I go ahead and I strap it to the very first handle just at the back here, and I kind of strung it up all the way to the back. And then different points along the kayak, I had knots and clips that just so that I can kind of clip things to it and move them out of the way if I needed to. And I just keep extra carabiners and that kind of stuff on me just in case. And I always bring a hat with me as well, but that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comments what kind of stuff you bring with your kayak when you go out. This here, I just bring it into my car. I unload most of the stuff onto my kayak, and then when I put it back, it's all nice and tidy. I don't just throw it in a big bag and have to deal with a whole bunch of string that's all knotted together, and you know, it's much easier for sure. But as you can see, this is kind of how I hang my kayak. I just have two hangers that I bought at Princess Auto. I think they're $7 each. They're pretty heavy duty. And then I just use the same strap that the cam strap that I use for putting it up onto the car. So let me take you with me here. You can see, fairly easy. It's got the hook here, and then it's just got the cam straps. I just loop it around, and then just tuck the excess, kind of make like an X. And then when I'm not using it, I just put my life jacket and the chair, because those don't fit in the tote very well. So I just kind of put those in the cockpit. I have it facing out so that it's easy to put that stuff in, but you don't need to do that. You can kind of face it to the wall, just like this kayak here. This is a little bit more bare bones, so it's much lighter. We put that one on top. It's only 37 pounds. This one here is 57, so put that one on the ground. As you can see, it's just the cam straps, so it's nice and easy. Make a loop on each side, slip the kayak in, and then tighten it. So it's fairly easy. I have tried ones where you anchor it to the ceiling and raise it upwards, but it didn't work too well, because our ceilings are only like 12 feet high, I think it was, and it was too low to the car, and we didn't want that to be the case of hitting the car or anything like that. So we also didn't feel comfortable with it being right above our heads. Instead, we just kind of threw it on the wall instead, and it works really well. So anyways, let me know what you think, and leave a comment and like, and we'll see you next time.